what is, in your opinion, the future of language teaching? What do you see? Because we just talked about how, in the Netherlands, you're having issues with people not wanting to become language teachers. And one of your passions is inspiring people to become language language teachers. What are And I think it's the same in North America. I don't think people are actively choosing to be a teacher. Quite the opposite. People are looking for other areas, other fields, because I don't think language teaching is attracting people as much anymore. So how how can we inspire people to become language teachers? What can we do to help them become language teachers, or inspire them to become language teachers?
Yeah. I saw a poster at a conference last week. It was written, "You don't need to be a celebrity to be unforgettable." And to me, that's exactly what a teacher is. It's an anonymous person who is unforgettable in the mind of many learners when he's a good and a bad teacher. But you hope you hope that our vision is to really have good teachers that have a positive impact on their learners. Politically, something has to change if you want to change how we see teachers. So being a teacher is not only a passion, it's also a profession. So you need to have a very professional context in which teachers have the space to, because they are the professional. They don't need to rely on textbooks because that somebody else wrote for them. If they are professionals and know what they do and know what they want, they have to gain also that confidence that they are the ones who have that knowledge. They can see themselves as professionals. And I would like also to stress the fact that being a teacher is showing ambition.
Yeah. Oh, I like.
Right? Because it's not because you're not ambitious that you became teacher. You're very ambitious, in fact.
I agree.
Because you have the ambition to really make a difference, to give forward to a new generation. You need to be very ambitious to do that. And so to give a bit more status to that profession.
I like.
And it's not only about the money, though, because it's, of course, you need to have a decent amount of money when you do that job. It's very important that you don't struggle to be a teacher yourself. But we see in our country that they did raise the salary of teachers. And for the moment, there are not really many more people who want to become teachers. So it's not always about the salary. Yeah. It's also about the expectation of this society of having a career and have this status of growth. Well, you can do that also being a teacher. And someday you can become teachers of the teachers. And in my classes, I've had learners who became game changers in other fields. And I've been very proud to have been able to teach them. There's a political answer in a way. Society also, school is the place where learners spend most time when they are teenager, but they still need to be educated by their parents. So that's also the communication between the parents and the school, and that has to go much better. And the value of school and home is very important to discuss. So there is a society discussion also to have. And inside of the schools, I really hope that schools would become places of innovation, change, of inclusivity also of all kinds of learners and teachers, where creativity can come back a bit less administrative, a bit less filling a form to say that it was qualitatively good, and give that time to actually give quality in the classroom. I think that would help a lot.
I agree. Mike, you wanted to jump in?
Yeah, no, I just, and maybe I'm switching gears a little bit, but I think this ties into some of the points we discussed earlier about giving up control and engagement, and now inclusivity. And that is your work on multilingual approaches. And I just thought it might be nice to kind of dovetail into a little bit of what do we mean when we think of multilingual approaches, and perhaps what have been some of the challenges in implementing some of these approaches, since we're on this topic?
Right. And it's a broad topic because there are many contexts in which you can use that term, multilingualism. So I can tell you about my context, the one I do research on, and I do research in multilingualism in higher education. It means that I work in a bilingual university where English and Dutch is used as main languages of instruction, but I also work in a language program where we teach German, Russian, Spanish, French, Italian, Swedish, and English, and Dutch as a second language. So it would be wrong to think that English is the only lingua franca we can have together.
Right, yeah.
So my work is also about including all those other languages and removing also the idea that because we talk in English, we're more inclusive. Sometimes we are not. So that's this work about giving. So I teach in 8 different languages in the same classroom. And I do that because my learners are language learners. And for me, it's a way to provide them more exposure, more opportunity to use, which is in line with the dynamic usage-based theories I've been working on. But multilingualism could also happen in a history class that is normally taught in English because it will be easier for everybody to understand, but where you include as well the languages taught by your learners, because a lot of our learners are internationals. They come from Romania. They come from Germany. And when you do that, you also bring a lot of identity, culture, very interesting talks about different perspectives about the same topic. So what we do is that when we talk about a topic, we read a paper in English, but I ask my students to also find a paper in another language about this topic, to see if the perspective is maybe different due to cultural differences. Mm-hmm. Because I think it would be wrong to think that because we read a paper in English, that's exactly the way everybody thinks.
Right. Yes.
So we do that. We read on the same topic in 4, 5 different languages, and then they come back in the classroom and we talked about, so what did you learn? Did they actually think the same as in English or not? And why? And we have very deep discussions about this interculturality through language.
Right.
So that's the kind of multilingualism that I am doing. But of course, multilingualism is so broad that we could, I don't know which kind you wanted to talk about.
We could devote an entire podcast episode to this.
I was just going to say, yeah. But I think it's, and just listening now, it kind of speaks to what Michael Byram has written about, about the intercultural speaker, right? Like that sure, great, we have these languages that we operate in most of the time, but we also need to be encouraging individuals to be open to, as you suggest, hearing things in different ways in different languages, and then thinking a little bit about some of those similarities and where those differences might occur. And I think the only way to do that is to engage the students, as you suggest, in different ways, like looking at multiple perspectives. And
it's very hands-on, because I'm a strong believer in the fact that when you introduce something new in the classroom, a new tool, a new technology, you need to do it with them in the classroom at the beginning, and to really don't assume they know how to do it. I've been disappointed before. So now when I introduced this multilingual approach, we really took a week of training so that they could learn how do you manage, how do you cope with a multilingual environment? How do you cope when the person next to you speaks a language you never heard before, and you have the feeling you don't understand anything, and you have the feeling you're excluded? So I give them tools. I give them a lot of strategical things. We practice translanguaging pedagogy, mediation, such as in the CEFR. We practice as well lingua receptiva, which is a way to passively try to understand a language and responding in another language. We practice clear approaches. We practice when I know that my crowd is not speaking my language, what can I do to help them, to ease them into understanding me? Because in fact, if they don't understand me, it's my problem. It's not their problem. So we do that very hands-on 1 week. And after that, it goes very well.
I need that kind of training with my teenagers because I feel
Well,
like
yeah, I
we speak
just-
different languages.
I was just saying it's like I think it'd be very practical in many vocational environments as well. It's like how to be a sympathetic interlocutor, right? And what are some ways that you can ease or make the conversation go more smoothly, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And many of those ideas, really, it's the colleague that I have, Wim Gombert. We've been talking a lot. Mariah Michel, which is also my colleague, who is also an extraordinary person. These are all people who in fact tries to use research and theories, but use them in practice and really practice what you preach.